Namaskar, friends. Welcome to this fresh episodes of our channel See You Soon. We hope that you're keeping well and keeping safe during this tsunami of the second wave that the country and the world is witnessing. And we hope that you are utilizing sanitizers properly, wearing masks to ensure the safety of your and your loved ones at home, and not just home, also of other members in the society. Having said that, we always keep telling you that it is our endeavor through this channel to bring to you the most brilliant of minds from the legal fraternity and from other walks of life in the society. And today, I'm very happy to introduce you a very special guest, Mr. L. Ravichander sir, who is a designated senior advocate from High Court of Andhra Pradesh. He practices both in the High Court of Andhra and Telangana, amongst other high courts, and has a great at least 4 decades of practice under his belt. And I'm so happy, sir, to have you on the program. Welcome for sparing your valuable time for our channel.
My pleasure, Jayant. All the way, my pleasure.
So before we start a series of our question and answers, the first question out of custom, which we always ask our guests on board, is please tell us about your the initial journey from your birth to your school education, and what was that moment in your life which propelled the idea of pursuing legal education and becoming a lawyer?
My very ordinary school. I went to a good school, St. Patrick's in Secunderabad, and convent education gives you that initial startup. I think most of my friends, when we were doing my +2, wanted to become doctors, and I did imagine myself also for a very, very short while. My father was a doctor, and I lived with a lot of doctor friends. So maybe it came by some definition that maybe I'll do it, but very, very soon I realized that's not my fault. I couldn't stand a drop of blood anywhere, so I knew that was not going to be my calling. I therefore decided to do arts instead of sciences, much to the disapproval of my family, which thought my father was a doctor, my sister was one of my sisters was a leading cytologist by then. My other sister was a geneticist. So they did not look very highly at the arts. But I had taken a call that I am going to do arts, and I did my graduation. Now, very interestingly, when I did my graduation in 75, those years, it was very clear line. Those left of center or those who were slightly marginally in that area preferred to go to a place like JNU to do their post-graduation. On the right of centers went to the IIMs if they really were academically oriented. I told my father that I will not go to an IIM come what may. So you know where I was. I had applied to the JNU and luckily got a seat there also. But skipped all that, and my father said, I'm willing to certify you as mad when I chose to do law in Chennai over doing MA Economics or MA International Studies in the JNU. In fact, I still remember I shared room with Baru Sanjaya, the author, now the former advisor to the former secretary to the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. So they all thought that I was making the biggest blunder in my career. I've chosen very consciously that I will become a lawyer. By the time I had graduated, I knew that I was doing very well as a public speaker, as a debater. So I said, maybe word craft is a very vital phenomenon. These very loosely wrong ideas about who an ideal lawyer is, and therefore I chose to become a lawyer.
Right, sir. So that's a very fantastic journey that, besides your family opposition, you chose the path that you wanted to tread. And I think it's very interesting, especially for the younger generation. And a lot of our audience are young lawyers, upcoming lawyers, or people who want to pursue law as a career. And I think that's very important to choose the field that you want to pursue throughout your life and which gives you happiness. I think that is very important. So, sir, let me take you to the 70s decade when you're pursuing law as a career, and you told us that you have gone to Chennai to pursue your LL.B. And so if you can just shed some light, how were those formative years of being a law student? Was there any concept of internship during those days? And what type of advantages you had in the 70s, or the disadvantage that you had in the 70s compared to the legal education that we see today?
Oh, I would say that legal education today has taken a quantum leap. There's no doubt on that at all. I don't think we can compare legal education of the 70s. You can only contrast legal education of the 70s. In fact, there was a bit of drama even when I got into law school. I'd gone for my law interview at the Madras Law College, and I had no mark sheet. I had nothing except a newspaper which had my name saying that I got a rank in graduation. So when I went in for the interview, there were thousands and thousands of people coming into the interview. I really don't know how they interviewed so many people and what they found out. And I was told by the dean of the university that only because you are a rank holder, we are holding back your admission. Otherwise, we would have rejected it straight away for not producing your mark sheet. Produce your mark sheet within an end amount of some time. Produced it, and that's how I got a seat in law. We were a huge batch. We had about 7 to 8 sections of 80 or 90 student seats. So approximately, count your numbers, 80 to 100 into 8, 800, 900, or maybe even 1,000 students in the Madras Law College where I did my law from. Now, what was interesting though was most of us did not require to spend too much of time there. And law was a very different ball game. And I think we all in college took law very, very lightly. Very, very lightly. From a rank holder in graduation to a 48, 49% mark sheet in law told the story of how lightly law college was taken. Because there may have been a few people there too who worked very, very seriously and got big marks. But by and large, I would confess that law was almost a semi-holiday to most of us, and we didn't spend a lot of time. But I must tell you, the day our results came sometime in October or something, but by July, I joined the office of my senior. And the first thing I told him was that I had no clue. I told him in so many words that I had no clue of what was CPC, what was CRPC. I had just done my law and I was there. My senior, who went on to become the Advocate General of the state, went to prison. Well, you don't think about that because what you've learned in college is anyway very, very different from what you're going to learn on the street of laws. So I think that was a big time reassurance that all was not wasted. And the journey actually begins after you leave the college and go to the college.
So very well put. If I may just ask, because you have now just started your legal journey, if you can tell us something about the initial years of being a junior lawyer in a chamber. How was life back then? And why I ask this question is so many times the young lawyers online ask me this question, and I think you're the right person to answer this, is what should a young lawyer focus on when you're starting your career out? Should they join a seniors chamber? Should they focus on drafting work? Should they only focus on research to ably assist a senior lawyer? What should be the right path to tread when you have just freshly graduated? From your experience and from the experience of today's fresh lawyers.
There are multiple responses to this.
Sir.
Firstly, let me tell you, I was extremely lucky. Arguably, probably I'm the only guy I know of who argued a case in the High Court on the day he was enrolled in the court. Most of us wait for a few months, a few years, really, because you argue for a court. It so happened that the case that I was asked to argue was to come up before His Lordship Justice L.L.B. Kupaswamy. He was now then the number 2 judge of the High Court. And my senior, who by then had huge practice, had gone into the court and asked for a passover. So the judge said, "You're asking for a passover? Who's going to argue your case?" So he said, "My junior will come in there after lunch," because I was not enrolled by then. So he asked for a passover in the morning. In the afternoon, I got enrolled around 1 o'clock. At 2:30, I was before the bench arguing a rent control CRP, which was dismissed. And I thought it was a wonderful case. And obviously, it wasn't on hindsight because my senior only wanted me to gain an experience and he knew anyway the revision was going. So I was very fortunate to be in a wonderful office which had all kinds of work. They had civil, they had criminal, they had writ, they had corporate, all. Now, everybody may not find a senior of that kind. So what happens is, do I do research? Do I do drafting? No, life doesn't get compartmentalized like that. I think you have to do a bit of all. Fortunately, today's lawyers, again, they're built of far superior quality. They come from law institutes, 5 years. So they have done their basics on drafting. They've done their basics on research. What are the research tools? You know, when we were students or when we were lawyers for a very long time, we had those huge quinquennial digests from which we would search for a judgment. Today, it is not that you slip in a word and you get an SCC online or a Manupatra online or what have you. So I think research also is differently easy. Choice you have to make is, do you want to practice law as a advocate, or do you want to become a solicitor? Do you want to be in a firm and do the back-end work? Now, this is a call you have to take. And this call you will take on a variety of factors. Obviously, solicitors get very well paid initially. So if you are in need and you can't wait, then that's the route to take. But if you want to be a real good lawyer, the going is going to be tough. There's no doubt about that. You very zealous mistress. That is one thing you will learn. And your days are going to be long. You're going to be engaging. They're going to be challenging. So they're going to be very low for you emotionally very often. You will see that a lot of people of your age, your class, have taken a march over you and have gone ahead. While you're still lagging behind is how you would look in a race. But you must understand that this is a profession which is a marathon. And the slow runners win the marathons. So it's a personal choice. Chief Justice told me, Justice Yogeshwar Dayal, he had once told me, Ravi, this profession is only for people who are second generation lawyers or people who have a lot of family wealth or tremendous amount of patience.
So
and if
I
you
think
can have
very
all
well
of them,
put.
Sone pe suhaga.
I think, sir, very nicely put. And if I'm not mistaken, sir, you also are a first generation lawyer, because you said you came
Yes,
from
first
family of
generation.
doctors.
First generation.
And if I may ask, sir, what has worked in your favor? So was it patience? Was it family? Was it a mix of good luck?
Luck.
Right.
Luck and a wonderful office
Right. So two questions which spring out of your narrative that you just shared with us. One, we I think are one of those unique countries which still offers both type of law courses now. Right after +2, where we have a new term called law school, which offers a 5-year law course, and then the traditional 3-year law college, which one can pursue after graduation. Do you think we as a country still need to have both these courses running parallelly, or has the time come where we can do away with one? That's my first question, sir.
More the merrier is always a nice choice. More the merrier is always a nice choice. The reason why the 5-year law course must be continued with is that is where all the investment is. That is where the best minds are. That's where the best training is. That is where the best infrastructure. So that has to continue. And why the 3+3? That is because a lot of people, when they get into grad school, are not mature enough to look at career, plan a career very well. You must understand, a lot of lawyers come from socio-economic backgrounds, which do not entail a kind of exposure that will help to becoming a good lawyer. And these people sometimes turn out to be brilliant lawyers at a later point in time after following the 3-year course. So I really don't see the need to break off one and take up the other. Maybe you can say, if you graduated, you don't have to do 3 years law, do 2 years law, because if you've done social sciences as your grad, fair enough. So that's how I would say.
Right. So the other question that I have for you is that traditionally speaking, litigation, not so much the law firm or the in-house culture, is treated to be a gestation. The period for gestation is very, very long. And I think from your time of practice till my time of practice, this is my 14th year into the profession, still very young at the bar. I still realize that the progress is very slow. It's gradual. It's sure, but it's very slow. So compared to a law firm culture or an in-house culture, and because we have friends, we have peers, we have family members who have studied law with us, or senior or junior to us. Sometimes I'm asked this question, and I must put this question to you to perhaps get the right answer: that why have things not fast forwarded in the field or in the arena of for a litigating a lawyer, or for a lawyer who wants to practice litigation? What has held the profession?
Obvious. The reasons are obvious. The reasons are obvious. You must understand that firms, solicitor firms, are manned by industrial litigation or commercial litigation, while the lawyer litigation is civil, criminal, tough road. If you're asking me, why does it take longer to go through the shortcut of the bridge instead of the national highway? The answer lies that the national highway has better infrastructure. It's better design. It's more wealth has gone into its build-up, and therefore the drive is slow. While if you're going through a village, you're going through other areas, what happens is you see history. You learn geography. You see human life. You experience life in its truth, life in its essence. Which kind of a tourist do you want to be? Yes, this route is tougher. Yes, this route is going to take you longer. The wait is going to be there. That is why I told you what Yogeshwar Dayal had said, that you must be one of those three people. You must either be very rich, or you must come from a family of lawyers, in which case the wait doesn't happen as much as in other cases. And the third, you must be really
very well explained.
The gestation for a practicing lawyer will be more than for one who comes through a law firm. And this primarily is because law firms are on a different socio-economic orbit when compared to the struggling lawyer. But at the end of the day, the struggling lawyer's story is far more satisfying.
This is a wonderful analogy that you've drawn. The path, sometimes say the road less taken. You have to go through villages, and by undertaking that path, we always learn something new. We pick something, on a journey towards perhaps a greater professional goal, if I may say so. So my next question to you again is about your professional journey. Now that you had joined an eminent senior who later went on to become the Advocate General, as you mentioned. After how many years did you decide to take the plunge into independent practice, and how was the transition from being a junior in a chamber to go independent?
I don't know. It almost in retrospect looks seamless. It started off when I became a special government pleader with the government. That was sometime in 1988 or 89, I think. When I became a government pleader, I put in about 10 years of standing in the government. In fact, very interestingly, it was the first time in the state a special post was created, a special government pleader to assist the Advocate General. I had moved to another Advocate General, and at a time when people were hoping to get the post, I got a call from the office of the Advocate General saying, Ravi, would you please come and join me as a special government pleader? So I was there for just about a year plus, and then the Advocate General resigned, and I too resigned with him. And I came back to my parent office, my new. In my parent office, my advantage was, while I was assisting my senior, his son-in-law and I started branching off on our own. We started doing work together. We started doing our own cases. We ensured we spent time on both. When work came on our table, we did not see whether it was office work or my work.
Right.
Or my partner's work. So that's how it worked. Everything was seamless. I don't think Mohan and I, my colleague, also went on to become deputy general. Neither of us ever said, this is your work, this is my work, this is office work. It was just seamless and we were fine with it.
I think so. In fact, a very good take that I'm going to take from what you just narrated, because what I see today with young lawyers, and I don't know if you have seen in your workplace or in your office with your juniors, is sometimes they treat the chamber also as a law firm, saying this is my work and I'm not going to do it. I think some things have seen a transition over the years. Because young lawyers, I don't know whether they get bogged down by work, or do they want to draw a definite boundary within the area of work that they're doing, that these are the files that I'm going to do. I'm already so much burdened with work. There's a latent impression that sometimes I get from certain chamber juniors. And I think that's a wrong approach. I think the approach that you just mentioned is the right approach, that when you're working with friends, with colleagues.
Jayant, actually, you know what? I don't think so. I'll tell you why.
So
these people who say I'm stuck with a file or two and I'm working on it are putting a lot more into the file than we did in our days. Once a junior puts today, a typical junior in my office also, when I say, you take care of this, you do this, that what I get back from them is far more complete than it could have been when I was a junior, maybe. So I would compliment them for saying, I'm doing this completely, let me finish it. They shouldn't be very choosy, but then it's a personal call. I don't know if I can be judgmental about it, because, if a variety of factors go into it. A variety of factors go into it. For example, when I was a junior in court, I was told not to read books other than law. Today, I keep telling my colleagues, please read books other than law. So that's a paradigm shift. And I think this is because, especially students who come out from law schools and law institutes in the country are so well informed that, and they are quite clear that while they will work like a dog or work like a horse, they're also sure that they need their personal time. And I think this balance is extremely important to make a complete human. And I have no qualms with young lawyers who say, no, sir, I don't think I can do this matter because I'm full. They're being honest.
I think it's a very wonderfully put, that one must also understand the plight of young lawyers who are associated with us and who are working with us, because at the end of the day, I think it's teamwork at play. Because if we put too much pressure or burden on somebody, a matter or a client is bound to suffer. I think it's a very eloquently put. My next question, sir, is in your journey spanning more than four decades, you have covered so many high courts. Sir. Please share your experiences about how tough or how easy was it to juggle between different high courts when you're swamped with work. The first stage for any litigating lawyer is one, and let me ask this question first, sir, because in fact, young lawyers keep asking this question, that once you are going independent, how easy or how difficult is it to build a clientele? Because that's the first and foremost question which pops up in mind. And how do you consistently build a clientele? Why I'm asking you, sir, is this, because as a barrister or as a practicing lawyer, a client may come to you at any stage in a case. They may come to you when the case is just starting out. It may come to you when it has to be argued for appeal. It may come to you when a cross-examination has to happen, or when a final argument needs to be argued. So how do you figure out, one, the transition when you're going independent, and to deftly handle these different needs of clients? Then second, how to build a good practice going on with a robust clientele? And third, how to juggle between different courts that you have to go to argue your matters?
Personally, Jayant, life doesn't come with a user manual. Neither does our profession. There is no LL.B. And this is not an Olympics where you swim in a channel that's given to you. You have to swim the rough sea. You'll find your own velocity. You'll find your own strength once you're in the water. I refuse to believe that there is a mantra to it, and it is my mantra. Both of them, I don't believe. I also believe that I've struggled. I've struggled and struggled a lot. I have struggled out twin counts. One, lack of economics, in the sense that I didn't have money. I remember in Diwali when till a day before, I didn't have enough money to go and buy a few fireworks for my 5-year-old son. I also suffered in the sense I saw a lot of extremely mediocre people. If I may be polite, less than mediocre people making big money at a time when I was not making any money. This mismatch between talent and success happens with our profession, like it happens probably in cinema and in many other fields. You must begin to believe in yourself. That's a very important criteria. Begin to believe in yourself. Be prepared. I don't know. I don't think I consciously prepare. I kept waiting. I hoped people come. Every time I had an opportunity, I did what I thought was my best. Is there an ideal way of building clientele? There are various ways. People say party with them, network with them, socialize with them. I've not been a party goer. I haven't socialized. I remember even now, people used to fun when weekend meant for me going to a film and writing film reviews or writing articles in newspapers. But what kind of guys going and seeing cinema? Which was looked down upon to me. It was my passion. And I said, I'm not giving up my passion. Because to me, law was a part of my life. It was not my everything in life. Because acceptance, success, money, position, all these were not the end all of it. To me, being me was very important. And in the process of being me, if there are part of the race that I have lost, it's been very conscious. It's not an accident. Decide that yes, I have. Have I felt very bad that I've not got them? No. Because I've realized that the product I am today is a result of everything I wanted. I wanted to write, I wanted to sing, I wanted to see cinema, I wanted to cook, I wanted to do gardening, I wanted to do dress designing. I've done all this in my life. And I'm happy that, and I wanted to be a voracious reader. And tonight, even now, I don't go to bed without reading a general. Maybe fiction. Just finished Morris West 2 days ago. I'm reading James Boyne now. So I have no regrets that I'm a late starter. I have no regrets that I've not made tons and tons of money. I'm happy with where I am. To answer, therefore, how do you build your clientele? It depends on your mental makeup and what you want. There is no book. There is no formula. One thing you hardly need to tell the younger generation. They'll teach us 3 lessons or 2 on how to be focused. Extremely focused. Extremely well-educated generation. Their problem is they have too much of competition. And therefore, they need to be constantly running faster and faster to be where they are.
I think very wonderfully put, the challenges with the younger generation. And I completely agree with you on that, because when I'm interacting with young interns and young lawyers who have just graduated, and then I was reading somewhere, that we almost know everything about everything in today's day and age, but we know very little about ourselves. And it's so important to sometimes internalize, just sit and then get to know the person that that you are. And I think that's a very valid point, sir, that you raised out there for all the young listeners here. My next question to you, sir, is that you have such great practice and you have covered so many high courts and other courts and tribunals in the country. How do you manage your time? Because with such busy practice, when you have to cover so many courts, how does that work?
Right now, it's easy because all of it is virtual, so it's easy. So sometimes I'm tempted to say I love virtual courts, but then again, I tell myself the day I say virtual over real courts, I'm choosing the highway over the village route, so I don't want it in the long run. Having said that, sometimes, okay, let me tell you, except in Andhra, in most other high courts, I just 1, 2, 3 appearances. So I would ensure that it was on a Monday or a Friday, and ensure that on that day I didn't have enough work in these courts or a period in time that worked. Now, when Andhra and Hyderabad, Telangana happened, both the courts were very kind to senior lawyers because they knew that they were going through this new phase where one high court had divided itself and people had to travel to another high court. And therefore, what I did for myself is I said, 3 days, one high court, 2 days, one high court. So I say 3 days Telangana, 2 days Andhra. That's how I work. Depending on whether the work was a little more or less, we adjusted it. And we had a wonderful team of lawyers who were engaging me, who always had the confidence that, even in a little bit of time, I could take up a case. I have been, I'm very happy to say this, that after I land up at the Vijayawada airport in the night or in the morning, from the airport to the court, I had 2 lawyers sitting behind and instructing me on 2 different cases, and I was ready to go and argue the case. What a wonderful team of lawyers. And as I told you, the advantage that we seniors have today, whole set of brilliant young lawyers who are so good that they can tell you everything like this. You just have to go like a parrot repeating.
I think, no, sir, I think wonderfully put how to do time management. In fact, the follow-up question that I have for you is about the digitization phase that we are undergoing, though by default because of the COVID wave which hit us last year. And amongst the legal fraternity, obviously there is a division of opinion. There is a faction of our fraternity which believes that the court should fully function and resume physical hearings as and when possible. The second faction is of the point of view that okay, it's not bad, it's how things should be moving forward, considering how the world is progressing with digitization. Supreme Court of the high courts in the country, and I think Gujarat High Court has also, in fact, started live streaming of the proceedings. As you rightly said, it's easy to sit at the convenience of your chamber or your home and appear virtually without wasting too much of time. I think that is a crucial aspect. Sir, how do you think the industry is going to change going forward? Do you think a hybrid is the right model for physical hearing?
Firstly, I don't think India is prepared.
Right.
We don't have the bandwidth. In the sense, infrastructurally today, the country is not prepared yet. Half the times, courts and judges are not able to hear us, or we are not able to hear them. I know it's going to take a lot of time to build a culture. Like, very often, even today, we are in a court forgetting to mute and we are talking to somebody else. And the judge has to tell us, please mute. I remember Justice Somiyajulu telling some lawyer in Andhra the other day, I don't want a conducted tour of your kitchen and your drawing room and your bathroom. Fine. Also understand culturally, WWW came to India slowly. Also understand that a lot of us come from a rural background or not very urban lifestyles. Today the smartphone has reached every corner of the village, and a little kid knows how to operate a smartphone faster than anybody else does. But that is fun. It's not at work. At work, there's a pattern. There's a learning curve. And this curve must necessarily sync with the structural curve that the system throws at you. So that sync will require a lot more than a knee-jerk scenario by which we are working today. Today, we are tolerant to a lot of shortcomings because of the scenario. But remove the scenario. In normal circumstances, if I'm just sitting somewhere and arguing the case out of thin air, judges are not going to be as tolerant. An entire generation of lawyers and judges have learned the finer techniques of law in human interaction. You're robbing a good lawyer of this by the new platform. It will mean, but even if it is inevitable, it will have to be gradual.
I think, so the point is, sorry.
Progress is inevitable. We have to catch up globally. But how far we do it, how we do it is a matter of progress.
So I think you raised a very valid point of human interaction. And that is something, as a matter of constant complaint, I keep hearing from young lawyers and especially students who are in law school, because the internships have now become virtual by and large because of the pandemic. Also, most of the law students as an interns.
I have interns who I have not seen.
Yes, sir. And then what do you feel about that, sir? Because what's the difference that you feel between an actual internship, a physical internship, and a virtual internship? Do you think people have more to learn when they're physical?
Firstly, there is no replacement to human interaction. You can't, the pleasure of a voyeurist and the pleasure of a doer are different. Said that on a lighter, crass way. I would like to add that when things are so mechanical that everything is picture perfect, even in a virtual world like my Amazon shopping. But I like to go to a mall rather than Amazon shop. My son prefers Amazon to a mall. So it's a mindset. I think it's coming to terms with the lifestyle you're used to and peer pleasures and peer pressures. These two factors together will decide the course ahead.
Very wonderfully put, sir. In fact, my follow-up question is, because most of these interns and young lawyers are not permitted even to appear virtually or observe a proceedings. So I think the whole pandemic has taken a lot of learning away from them. My question, sir, that comes out of it is, many times these young people ask me that if you become a judge or if you're in a law firm, there are a lot of programs either in Judicial Academy or in law firms. We have a program called Continuing Legal Education, where people or young lawyers are trained how to interact with clients, develop soft skills, etc., etc. But there are very limited, or I would say almost negligent or literally no avenues like this in litigation for young lawyers to be given continuing legal education. So how can we, sir, develop that area for litigating lawyers who are literally either dependent on a chamber, and the people who do not have a chamber, who are trying to find their footing in a challenging profession like litigation? How do we train those young lawyers?
Obviously, it's going to be multi-pronged. And if you look at your question, you started off with telling me how interns are not allowed into the virtual court.
Virtual courtroom.
It answers my earlier question that we don't have enough bandwidth. That's why they're not being allowed. So the virtual court has its problem there. That is why what I say is law schools will have to step in. For example, in the first wave of the COVID, I did a course on communication skills for Hidayatullah University, a law school. The vice chancellor asked me whether I would be willing to do an additional course, not something which is straightforward in their curriculum. So I told them, how do you, your communication skills as a lawyer, drafting skills as a lawyer, etc. I think a lot of these pockets of concerns that you mentioned can become independent and individual training courses as parallel paralegal certificates or additional courses that law schools teach. And this can be virtual, or this can be depending on where you are, how it goes. That can pan out in any which way. What cannot be taught in life will have to be learned in the book. And what is not there in the book will have to be learned in life. System academics you have to make. So today, if you're deprived of something in real life, go to the book, go to the college, let the college step it up and say, today, because all of you are not able to go to a court and court, I'll do something for you like a court. I'll arrange a couple of moves, or I will ask a judge whether I can shoot one day and show it to my parents. We have to, what is resource management, or what is resource up in the resource is managing new challenges. And the new challenge today is the curtain that is being drawn on you. Therefore, pierce it through other technologies as simple as that.
So some wonderful suggestions there. Just coming towards the end of the program, just a few more questions. not taking too much of your time. Sir, many times it's asked of me, and I don't know how to sometimes answer this question is, young lawyers say, sir, should we be a journalist or should we be a specialist? So for example, when you're starting your career out, people are confused whether to pursue civil litigation, commercial litigation, criminal litigation, start from trial court or straight away join an appellate court. So sir, what would be your advice on that?
Again, no single advice. I'm a generalist. I've seen some amazing specialists. Arvind Datta is a specialist. Right? Now, question whether you should go from the lower court or should you stick to a high court, my answer is you must go all courts. Justice Subhashan Reddy once told us, from the revenue division officer right up to the Supreme Court, you must be able to argue. I tried that, except I don't go to the Supreme Court. They're too wise and two very wise men, so I don't go there. I go to all the other courts. And I believe that original side experience teaches you to ask the right questions at the appellate stage. It teaches you how to look at a document, how to look at evidence, how to look at a pleading after you've seen what is happening in the lower court. So original side is an imperative. Should it exist? Maybe yes, maybe. Because I had the advantage again, you know. I went to an office which had both original side work and appellate side work, and I had a choice. One day I could go here, one day I could go there, one day I could learn here, one day I could learn there. It can't happen with everybody. I understand that problem. In which case, you'll have to do original first and then do appellate. Because otherwise, when you do appellate and go to original, you get a very vertical sense of learning, which is very unhealthy. I'd rather have you go up the ladder than come down. So firstly, original court, I believe original side work must be known. Because today, you know, suppose you become a corporate lawyer or a political lawyer, suppose you're doing election petitions, you need to know evidence law, you need to know how to cross-examine a witness, and these are things you learn on a lesser charge at less implication in a civil court or in a criminal court. And I don't also know whether you have the luxury of that kind of choice from two factors. How wise are you to make that choice at the beginning of your career? Therefore, you have to learn everything. So, how do you know which kind of client is going to come to you? Therefore, you have to be prepared in all branches of the law. You can't do civil law unless you're an inheritor. If you're an inheritor, then it's a different matter. And even if you're an inheritor, my argument would be, in what you have and acquire something more, so become double.
I think wonderfully put, and thank you so much again for being on the show. And before we conclude the show, sir, we always request our guests to please give some closing comments to our young audience. And when I say young, I not just only mean the youth, I mean people who are young at heart and young in mind and are tuned to our channel. So any closing comments for them?
I think it was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in his letter to Indira Gandhi, I think in Discovery of India or Glimpse of World. He says, I hate to give advice. Having said that, I'll share a couple of my thoughts. I think we must have an unsatiating appetite for reading. Read law if you have, let's say, 70% of your time reading law, 30% reading other books. A lawyer who does not know life, a lawyer who does not have a historic perspective, a lawyer who's not sociologically conscious is no lawyer, he's incomplete. Law is beyond the dead word that we are not wordsmiths. We are midwives to justice. If you understand this, you will realize that we need to see life in its drama, in its poetry, in its cinema, in its mythology. Justice Ramasubramanian recently spoke on justice and Ramayana, justice and Mahabharata. Brahman's justice. We need to understand that these are all customary law. How does it practice? This all comes only through general reading. Please read. please read is a theory I keep pleading with all of us. 2, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Life is not just that victory stand of being a good lawyer, being nice house, big car, nice property, farmhouse, judge, Supreme Court. Keep a happy man. Keep a satisfied soul. And for that, you'll have to be a person, not just have fun, work hard. Both having fun and working hard are not antagonistic. They work together. The day we realize this, I think we are fine.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you
for these
so much for hearing me.
wonderful nuggets.
If I have arrogated to myself this vertical, blame it on Jayant for giving me the opportunity. Thank you very much. I think it's I feel honored that somebody is calling a man of mediocre success, my mediocre achievement to come and speak to an entire group. Thank you so much.
So we are grateful for having you on this platform. And as we close, we always appeal to our viewers that if you like our channel, please like it, share it, subscribe it, so that people can benefit from it, from the small.
Will do.
And sir, on this wonderful note, I wish you all the very best, sir. Wish you success and health and prosperity going forward, and to all your loved ones and to your office staff and to the near and dear ones. On this lovely note, sir. See you very soon.
And let me also wish your endeavor great success. I think you are doing what lots of law schools should be doing. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Way to go. Bye-bye.